where are those bubbles? I'm looking for those bubbles. I got bubbles. Look, device, please rotate. Why are you acting like this? Oh, that's the way it's gotta be. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get this thing to rotate the. Why is it locked? Come on. Okay, it's just gonna sit like this then. Whatever. Hey y'all. Let's talk about leaving Neverland. The Jacksons and Oprah. I only was able to watch part 2 last night, and I did see Oprah's interview afterwards. I think part 1 is coming back on tonight. I'll try to watch that. Um, it's let's just be real here. It's not hard to believe when you watch this, or from what I saw. Um, it's very possible they may have been molested by Michael Jackson from the ages of 7 through 14. We're talking about Wade Robinson and James Safechuck. The way they framed that documentary tells a very perspective story. And it makes sense. You can't say, well, I can't say, no way did that happen. It sure looks like he groomed them. And even without this documentary, I could see things that Michael did that was highly, that I would consider to be highly grooming behavior. And if you think about it, you know, this is Michael Jackson. He can't even go to a park looking like himself. He could go, he was a prisoner in his own life, as famous as he was. And if he wanted to be around children, he had to bring the children to him. And what better way was to create Neverland? You got amusement parks and zoos and candy store and trains and all the trappings that one would need to attract children. That looks like a part of the grooming process to me. Grown-ass man, 30-something years old. His best friends are 12. His good friend is 7 years old. That's just weird. Yes, I understand. Oh, he didn't have a childhood. He was just trying to live his childhood. And it is just weird, inappropriate, and unacceptable for any grown man where all of his friends are 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Let's be honest. There's something wrong with that. Um, Sleeping over with them, going to their house and even sleeping in their room with them, parents' home. This is so much to blame. So it's just sick, or I can't imagine allowing some grown ass man, superstar or not, you 35 years old, you want to come and have a play day with my little 12-year-old nephew, and y'all spend the night in his room together. Who in their right mind would allow that? Even if it is Michael Jackson. And the fact that parents allow this behavior to go to Neverland, they stay in the guest house or in a room on the other side of the mansion, while your 11, 12, 7-year-old son sleeps in the room with Michael Jackson. That's lunacy. So yeah, it does look like what they are saying is very true. So people are confused, as I was. If all this happened, why did you testify at his trial, especially Wade Robertson, 2 times? At the age of 11 in the first situation, and then at the age of 22 in the 2005 trial. You testified that nothing ever happened. Can I see how Wade and James could testify that nothing ever happened? Yeah, because this is Michael Jackson and this is your friend. You spent time with him. You want to protect your friend. All of that makes sense to me. I can understand, however, if at the age of 11, you didn't understand that what Michael allegedly was doing to you was wrong, and yeah, 11, yeah, I could see an 11-year-old denying everything. You want to protect your friend. I can't see you as a 20-something-year-old, as Wade states, he didn't know, even at the age of 22, that it was abuse. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. He also states that, it's not about money. He went to the estate a few years ago when he first came out with this shit to sue because Michael Jackson abused him. But he states on Oprah's interview that it's not about money. It's about him screaming a lie for so long, and now he wants to scream the truth just as loud and even louder. And it's not about money. It's about getting people to listen to him. But yet, they're suing the estate for hundreds of millions of dollars. It's still in process. So you mean to tell me, Wade, that if the estate settles or you win in court and they award you $100 million, you just gonna say, nah, I don't want $100 million. I just wanted to speak my truth and I wanted y'all to hear and listen to me. Keep the money. I don't need $100 million. bullshit. There are three things that make me stand with the legacy of Michael Jackson. Is one, I think for over 10 years, the FBI had been investigating Michael Jackson, and they came up with nothing that substantiates pedophilia on the part of Michael Jackson. That's fucking big, because the FBI can find a fleet up your ass if they want to. The second thing that makes me stand with Michael Jackson is that he was brought up on charges, had a trial, and acquitted, found not guilty. And in between, since 1993 with the first accuser, all the way up to 2011, if he molested all of these little boys, where are they? How come no one else from 1993 came out accusing Michael Jackson of child molestation until 2003 with this little boy from the trial? Found out that was all a bunch of lies. And even 4 years that he lived after the trial, not a single allegation. And I forgot the third thing that makes me stand with Michael Jackson, but I guess that's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. The bottom line is that whatever Michael's going through in death, this is nobody's fault but Michael Jackson. He brought all of this shit on to himself. He did it to himself. No one is to blame for what happened to him with these child molestation allegations when he was alive. And no one is to blame with them trying to obliterate his legacy. There's no one to blame but Michael. People are wicked and evil. And when you are worth more than $1 billion, whether you are alive or dead, there's always somebody laying awake at night in their bed trying to come up with some scheme to get some money. People will lie on people for nothing. And they'll tell a hell of a lot of lies if you got something. There's something about Michael that people did not want him to be great. I don't think anybody ever saw the greatness that he had become. I don't think they ever saw that coming. It was unimaginable. And now in death, he is still the king of pop. He is the richest dead celebrity that the world has ever seen in death. He was the greatest entertainer the world had ever seen in life. And I believe that there are powers that be that want to obliterate his legacy. They just don't want him to be great. Now, for a while, they let him be great while he was alive. From the time he came into fruition with the Jackson 5 and Off the Wall and Thriller and Bad. They let him be great for a while. But for some reason, they didn't want him to be great no more. I don't know if it was because he owned the Beatles catalog. I don't know why John Bronca, that's one of the men who, I think it's John Bronca and John McClane, they are who Michael left his estate to in terms of running it. And I don't know why they sold the rest of the Beatles catalog back to Sony. I don't know if that's some, good old boy network, white boy shit, get this back in the white community and whatever. But that made no sense to do. That should have been held on to forever. But that was like the first thing they did was sold the rest of that catalog back to Sony. Maybe they felt subpar, inadequate, that this weirdo looking nigga, I'm just stating how I think they viewed him as a weirdo looking nigger, owns the Sony catalog, and he's really not no dumbass. He's brilliant, in fact. And how dare we allow some brilliant, weirdo looking nigger have what rightfully belongs to us? Because we are white people, we are superior, we are great, and we are white. Because we're white. We're white. That's all that needs to be said. That's all that needs to be known. We are white. And that transcends everything. It makes everything else obsolete. We are white. And we deserve the power of everything on this planet just because we are white. That's how they see shit. So I listened to an interview with Taj Jackson this morning. Who's Taj Jackson? Taj Jackson is one of Tito's sons. He and his two brothers, they formed the group 3T. Michael Jackson even made a cameo on one of their videos. And also, he and his two brothers, they stand in line to inherit the estate should something happen to all three of Michael Jackson's kids. Should all three of them pass away, it goes to 3T. But anyway, he was asked about Oprah's interview, and you could see every time I seen him be interviewed by Roland Martin and also on TMZ. And whenever they mentioned Oprah's name, you just watched his facial expression. His mouth started twitching. He'd exhale. And TMZ, he said Oprah was never on our team. I think that's a painful thing. You know, you had Oprah, they granted her the first interview with the children after Michael died, invited her to Havenhurst, and you know, she's interviewed Janet maybe about 3 times, interviewed Michael, that one famous Oprah Winfrey show, interviewed the Jacksons. I mean, I would have considered her a friend to the family, but Oprah's fucked up. You know what? I don't know if I could have done that. Oprah got some fucking balls. You know, after spending time with the family like that, knowing Mama Jackson, admired her and her career and all of that, and spending time with them, I don't know if I could have done that interview. That's like a slap in their damn face. But if you believe that Michael Jackson was a pedophile, I guess you wouldn't give a fuck. But I'm sure they all feel like they've been stabbed in their damn backs. I don't think Mama Jackson knows anything about this documentary. I'm sure no one has told her. She's not well. And why even bother? Ignorance is bliss. She don't need to know what they're doing to her baby in death. She don't need to know. And she don't need to know Oprah done stabbed her in the back either. She don't need to know. Hey, Teresa. So the bottom line is, I wish I can get rid of what I'm looking at. The bottom line is, Michael Jackson brought all this shit onto himself. It's nobody's fault but his. And frankly, I got two franklies. Frankly, number one, the documentary aired, it's over with, they'll repeat it, there's a lot of talk and chatter and social media is going off about it, but it'll all go away and die out. And frankly, I don't think it will do anything to Michael's legacy at all. Especially if it's a lie. So one thing Michael always said, and I repeat this quote that came from him, the lies run sprints, but the truth runs marathons. It'll die out. It'll, and then what? What other card they got to pull out of their pocket to tarnish his legacy? What? What can they do next? If they're not successful with this documentary, there's nothing else they can do after this. And they're not going to be successful with this documentary because people can see through the bullshit. That's frankly number one. His legacy will still stand. Y'all can keep that asterisk about child molestation next to his name and his legacy all you want, but the man was found not guilty, acquitted. And as long as he owned Neverland and all the children that came through, since Thriller, they said, Latoya said he had little boys flying from all over the world and the country coming up to his room over there in Havenhurst, and he paid off parents and she seen the checks. I'm sure more than two jackasses that want to come out at the age of 20 and 30 something and say that Michael molested him. There should be far more amounts of children and people coming forward. It should be a whole line of them. Way back from 1987. Way back from 1986. It should be a whole line of victims because that's normal. When you catch these cardinals and Catholic priests, there's a whole line of victims. My second, frankly, I really don't give a damn what happens to Michael's legacy. Fuck him. Everything that has happened to him while he was alive and everything that is happening now that he's dead is his own fault, and he deserves it. Because you know who's doing it to him? The white people whom he loved so much. Loved white so much he wouldn't even produce a black baby out of his own fucking black loins. Loved white people so much he left his whole estate to white people and thus the white community. And it's the very white people that are dragging his name through the fucking mud. Fuck them. So even if they are successful in fucking up his legacy, muting him, trying to kill all that music, trying to turn the whole world against him, because that's what they trying to do. Fuck them. Whether they're successful or not, I really don't give a shit. But no matter how hard they try, no matter how hard they will try, they will never succeed in muting Michael. They'll never succeed in destroying his legacy. Whatever goal they have set out to accomplish concerning Michael Jackson's estate and legacy, they will never succeed. You cannot obliterate talent like that. You cannot obliterate a gift from God like that. Your arm's too short to box with God. You'll never be able to do it. So let them exhaust all their energy and time and money and putting together documentaries and all that. Lies run sprints, but the truth runs marathons. Michael Jackson will forever remain to be the greatest entertainer that has ever moonwalked across this earth, and we will never see another one like him. Hello, Razzie. Hey, V-Dub. Yep. Yep. I'm going back up in. Hey, there's Dookie. When he died, he was like $400 million in the hole. They got out of that in like 2 years, 18 months or some shit. Today it's worth over $1 billion, Teresa. Said Oprah was a problem when she was giving marriage advice and ain't once been married. Do you have to be married in order to give marriage advice? I have to disagree with that, V-Dub. Some people have great wisdom concerning marriage who have never been married simply by looking and watching, observing other marriages, in particular one's parents. Marriages of friends, observing their marriage. One can garner a lot of wisdom just by observing. And here's my little chip of wisdom concerning marriage. Be friends. I'm sick of seeing people married and they ain't even friends. And that's all I'm going to say about that. She has been helping to destabilize the black community since day one in my eyes. Yeah, again, they won't be successful. The Jacksons are suing HBO for $100 million. Every time they try to sue, they never win. Mama Jackson tried to sue AEG Live and all of those responsible for Michael's death. She lost. They don't ever want to give the Jacksons a win. I hope they win $100 million from HBO. I really do. Because then they can have some money and be straight. Because they straight now because Mama Catherine is alive. But God forbid, once she leaves this world, they ain't getting that monthly stipend anymore. Not unless the Jackson kids want to look out for their uncles and aunts and cousins. I mean, how much do they get? They get something like $20,000 a month allowance. All three of them a piece. Once they're old enough to take over the estate, I would hope they would be generous to look out for the Jackson family brood, but probably not. I'm sure Michael sat them down since they were 2 years old. Don't give those niggas nothing, especially Jermaine. If they ask you for money, you tell them no. It's yours. Hopefully, they'll have a heart and say, okay, you all as a collective, if it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't be in the position where we are today. You know, here's $10,000 a month for each of you. But they ain't gonna do that shit. They ain't gonna do it. Not even for the vine. So I hope that they successfully sue HBO and they all come into, millions of dollars, and that's going to help them out. I don't think not one Jackson should die broke. As a collective, they have contributed so much to American music. You know? But they'll be all right. I'm mad that Catherine had to move out of Havenhurst. Havenhurst is that house in Encino, California. That's the house they purchased when they left Gary, Indiana. I think they paid something like $250,000. I think it sits on 5 acres. Beautiful Tudor home. Beautiful Tudor mansion. And so, from 1970, 1971, somewhere around there, up until a few years after Michael died, that woman has lived in that house with her children. And the superstars came out of that home, Janet and Michael. I know that woman didn't want to leave that home, but she had to go. Thank God she had enough money. Michael set up so she could sit pretty. She was able to buy another mansion. But it still ain't nothing like Havenhurst. The estate owns that mansion, Havenhurst. Why? Because Michael owned it. Michael had to buy it from his parents in the 80s, I believe. They ran into some sort of financial difficulty. I'm sure it was because Joe Jackson created it. And so, to keep his mama in that home, he bought that house. He bought that property. I'm sure he would have turned it back over to his mama. But then again, why didn't he? He had over 20, 30 some years to do so, but he didn't. Whatever. Whatever, man. Yeah, the memories. I always wanted to see inside of that house. I seen some rooms, like there was they had a spiral staircase, I think, entered the living room or the family room, it seemed like. And I only know about this staircase because there's an old picture of them all standing on the spiral staircase when they were the Jackson 5. But I always wanted to see what that house was like, that entire property. I mean, I've been there. When was it? Like in 87, outside the gate. The big black gate. You can't see nothing. But then when Oprah went there to do the interview, I saw behind the gate is just like a long road that goes up to the house. So you don't even see the house when the gates open. It's a long road. You know what? Why not make Havenhurst like Graceland? naturally you would want Neverland to be like Graceland, but that number one, that community there will never allow it. Number two, unless they do something and widen the road and make it easily accessible, that's just not going to happen, because outside of Neverland is just a 2-lane road. One lane going one direction, one lane going the other. It's just not conducive for that sort of thing. But then again, why not? I mean, they can make parking areas on the property. They can do it there, but that's not what Michael would want. But they do need some sort of museum like Prince and Elvis. And if it ain't going to be Neverland, which I don't think it should, because they fucking tarnished that for Michael. He never felt comfortable even going back there. But then they should just do it at Havenhurst, because it wouldn't just be about Michael, it would be about the Jackson 5 as well. And hell, include Janet in there too. It's the Jacksons' home, so it's all the famous Jacksons, a museum. And they got 5 acres there. They can put up more structures and all types of stuff. But just like Elvis, just like Prince, Michael should have a museum too. And I believe that's going to happen one day. It's going to be done. And it will generate more income than any other dead artist that we have ever seen. And that's going to be that. Anyway, I'm going to end this hangout and I'm going to come right back so we can just chit chat about whatever. All right, I'll be back. You'll